Welcome to another Down the Rabbit Hole video. A little while ago I went to the Vancouver Retro Gaming Expo, got a handful of games, not too many, but one of which was this. Missile Command and Asteroids for the original Game Boy, and of course I've got this AGS 101 Game Boy Advance that plays original Game Boy games. I really wanted to try this out because I thought to myself, yeah, sure, you know, Asteroids I've played on a million things, but Missile Command, although I love the original arcade game, it's hard to play, and I don't play it very often. What I really like about Game Boy modified or GameBoy-ized versions of classic arcade games is they've customized it and made it work so that it actually works well on this little platform. So I want to fire this up and just see what it's like with, you know, the only the two buttons that the Game Boy came with. How are they going to handle that for Missile Command? Let's give it a whirl and try it out. Okay, so I'll show you what Asteroids is like to compare. Ooh, that's hyperspace. Okay, there we go, there's fire. Yeah, it's Asteroids. It's the game we all like. Really interesting with the spinning rock animations here, and that's good. And what's also... What's also kind of nice is you can change the controls or the graphics so that it's actually more the classic look. Yeah, this way. So here we go. Here's classic. Whoa! I hit the shoulder button with my finger. Yeah, there's classic Asteroids. And it's very fine. Push up to thrust, which I've never been a fan of. I guess you got to do what you got to do with the limits of the hardware. But yeah, and then hyperspace. We know that one only too well now. So that's Asteroids, fine and good. But what I'm really curious about is Missile Command. Right, so this time, go down, and I want to try out Missile Command. I've never played this. I'm very curious to hear how they're going to make this work. And let me just start it up here. What's also interesting, I've got a whole bunch of Game Boy games I have yet to show on my channel, and this is a recent purchase. But when I heard Missile Command was done for the Game Boy, I thought, I really got to get it. And now that I've got it, I want to play it right away. So I'm just dying to try out Missile Command for the Game Boy. Let's try this thing out. How are they going to do it? How are they going to make this work? Got my cursor, that I understand, and then that one will fire that, and that one will fire over here, no doubt. Yeah. Well, I gotta stop doing that. My fingers keep hitting the shoulder buttons. I've never played this, but I'm kind of liking it. This is actually, yeah, this is quite doable, actually. Oh, I'm gonna make that. The flicker effect is actually very effective. It looks nice. And I'll be curious, I think with only two of these things to control here with these two buttons, this might actually make for a more enjoyable experience, he says, as he's about to get destroyed, no doubt. And I'm kind of hoping that the slower processor of the Game Boy is going to make this it's going to make this game quite playable, I hope, because when Missile Command really gets going, it's hard, really hard. That thing's going to hit me anyway. Okay. I hope it's not too bright on the screen. Let's see here. I may adjust the camera if you can't make out what's going on. Oh, no, you can make it out. All right, never mind. Yeah, now this is actually a decent amount of precision is required. I'm actually really impressed. This is very, and it is nice and, I don't want to say slow, but because of the limitation of the Game Boy, it's, I think they've modified it in a way that actually makes it enjoyable to play. That one's going to get through. Yeah, I'm very much in favor of this. What's the maximum number of... Whoa, just going to hit my building. So it looks like you can put like six explosions. It looks like you can put up a maximum of 3 shots at a time, and they're very rapid succession. So that's good. It's not like, much as I love the Atari 2600 version, and I love the Atari 2600 version, they made it limited so that you could only have, you know, a shot at a time. And that worked. That really spoke well to the strengths of... the strengths of the 2600... Oh, no! Oh, now I'm in trouble. This is going to be a short game after all. But this is actually doing a nice job of keeping the challenge of original Missile Command going, but also being quite playable. I like this. And I've never played this before. I was asking around, like, what are some good arcade games made for the Game Boy? Because you'd think... Oh, and even the background's changed. That's interesting. Yeah, you would think that, like... there was that whole era, I'm sure, with the NES and with... oh man, now it's getting confusing. There was that era with the NES and, say, well, Game Boy as well, of like, well, what are some of the arcade classics that we could port over, since Nintendo may have been, certainly in the West, less of a known developer? Who's going to get that building? Isn't he? Bummer. So they probably thought, okay, well, we'll just take all that stuff people know, Galaga and Pac-Man and all that, and Q*bert and Dig Dug. We'll put all of those on our console. Hey, bonus city. And most of them, sure, you know, D-pad and a couple of buttons do work for a lot of those games. So I just thought, no big deal. But Missile Command being a trackball game, and a really hard one at that, I was just thinking, oh, look at that. That's nicely done. Gonna get through. I just thought to myself, yeah, this is one, and there's actually another one I've been intending to do a video comparison about, which I don't want to spoil, but basically, ooh, you bum. Oh no! Come here. Did I get him? I did. Good. Yeah, there's one I got actually in Portland, I think, a couple of years ago, and I thought to myself, this would be a very interesting, very hard and fast-paced arcade game. What's it like on the Game Boy? And I've yet to do that video. But then when I also heard Missile Command was available, I'm like, yeah, that's another one I think would make an interesting... What is this like to play? And I gotta say, this might actually be one of my favorite versions, home versions of Missile Command now. Up there with the 2600, the fantastic Patriots, which is a homebrew for the Vectrex. I've done a video about that. This one's actually really good. I am surprised at how much I'm liking this. So, yeah. And now we're in Sydney. And look, you even got the Sydney Opera House in the background. That's cool. I really like what they've done here. Accolade. They actually, I think, were they not the makers of Star Control? I think they were. Or at least I know I've seen that logo on Star Control for like the PC version, so my hat is off to you, Accolade. You really... Oh, have I lost that? I've lost that gun. Yeah, you've done a good job of bringing Missile Command in a form factor that is quite playable and really good. Yeah. All right. Well, I could play on, and no doubt I will eventually die. Where are we, Paris now? Yeah, this is not going to last long. But I just really wanted to get my hands on Missile Command and see what Accolade did here, and I'm very glad I did because they've made a home version that is quite enjoyable to play. Oh, you know what? I'm out of turrets. I'm going to die. That's the end of the game anyhow. All right. Well, until next time, we'll see you down the rabbit hole.